You've watched the war now for a year.
Yeah.
Do you think that President Putin has any regret, given the way it's turned out?
He would never admit it. He would never even hint at it. A person like President Putin could never, even in his own mind, admit to something like that. He would consider it a huge weakness on his part.
Do you think he's in denial about the difficulties?
Well, I think he understands the difficulties. I don't think they matter to him. The Russian government and President Putin have been nothing but consistent. The goals of the special military operation are two: denazify and demilitarize Ukraine. And I interpret that as remove the government in Kyiv and subjugate the Ukrainian people. And those goals haven't changed.
Should the U.S. work harder at talking more to the Russians? It doesn't seem like there's any diplomacy going on the Russian side with the Russians to try to reach at least a negotiation or a solution of some kind.
Well, my answer to that is we tried that in 2021-22. There was a serious effort by the United States, starting with after we knew what the Russian plans were to invade Ukraine. We tried to stop it. We tried to engage in negotiations. And that's why when I said earlier, they weren't interested. They weren't interested in talking to us.
And they're still not interested?
They are still not interested. Secretaries of State try to get a call with Foreign Minister Lavrov and say what? What would Lavrov say? And well, no matter what he said, would you trust him? President Putin told President Macron, days before the special military operation began, we have no plans to do this. How can anybody trust them now?
What would it take then for President Putin to stop the war?
He has to be convinced that he can't win. Right now, he believes he can win. He can accomplish the goals of the special military operation because he has a long time horizon. Putin can't just decide, I'm not going to run for re-election in 2024 and I'm going to retire to my billion-dollar palace in Sochi. He's going to double down until he is convinced that there's just no way he can win. And I'm not sure, how significant the battlefield setbacks have to be for him to reach that point, but he is nowhere near that today. In fact, the opposite. He doesn't think that the special military operation has succeeded. He's rational. He understands what happened in 2022, understands the geographic gains that the Ukrainian armed forces accomplished. These undertakings, from his perspective, take a long time. And he's got a long time horizon and a vision for what he wants to accomplish that he will not surrender easily.
When you say a long time, what do you mean? What are you thinking?
It's not this year. Beyond that, I don't know. Putin doesn't want an off-ramp. I've joked in the past, and it's not a joking matter, but if you want a highway analogy, he'll take a rest area. He doesn't want an off-ramp. The goals of the special military operation will be achieved. He says it all the time.
Ambassador John Sullivan, thank you very much for speaking with the BBC.
My pleasure.